Hey guys, it's Mrs. Pettis, and I'm here to show you how to create watercolor and collage backgrounds to make your Art Nouveau prints even better. So the first one I want to show you is this one here, and you will see that they have created a watercolor piece of paper with all sorts of blobs of color. You'll notice that in the sun area they made more warm colors for the sun, and in the water area there's a little bit cooler colors for the water portion of their print. But you're just creating sort of an abstract blobby background for your print to be printed on. Hey guys, it's Mrs. Pettis, and I'm going to show you how to create a collaged background to enhance your prints. So normally we have been printing our prints to with a colored ink, so in this case it's black, onto a colored paper. But to take it another step further, we can actually create a collaged background with all of these different colored papers that will enhance our design and gives it a little more interest. You can just do a random collage like this person did in the background with sort of a little disregard as to where things are going. I mean, she's got a sun that's half yellow and half green. She's got trees that are blue and this pale pink. Or you could collage in a way that is going to enhance your design. For this project, I've designed this flower, and I guess I thought of it originally as a sunflower, but I think it's more of like a black-eyed Susan, but it could be a zinnia or a daisy or something like that. So that gives me the freedom to use whatever colors I want to in the background. So generally the center portion of a flower is darker, potentially brown or something like that, and these outside bits, the petals, could be whatever colors I wanted. In order to start the collage, I am going to be attaching the different types of collage materials to a larger base. So this here, it's like a parchment looking paper, that's my base, and these papers here are my beautiful textured papers that are going to be part of my collage. When beginning your collage, you want to work from the background forward. So I want to make sure that I am, and I'm adhering these papers down. So I think the part of the design that is probably the furthest away from me would be the petals. So I'm just going through and I'm layering these beautiful papers to start to enhance and create a sort of abstract background. I can cut them into smaller bits so that I can add those little textury pieces. And I know that you can see the purple of the glue stick through there. Don't really worry about that because it will be drying clear. But I know it's sometimes hard to get the effect that you want if you've got this like huge gaping glue stick stuff coming through there. So I'm just going through and we're attaching lots of oranges, maybe some reds to here, making sure we're gluing as much down, all those little edges down, and we're just kind of going through and filling up the areas. I've got one here that has little bits of gold, so maybe I'm going to add that. I want to have a couple of different places where that gold is shining through. Ooh, this is really nice. It's got a little part of the of an actual fiber of something. I've really liked this paper. Has like a fiberboard effect. We could do more of that. We could do long strips kind of radiating out if that's something that we want to do. So I'm just kind of working and building up that collage. So I've gone through and I've started collaging on some leaf shapes and this center portion where I think the center portion of my plate is going to show, because I want to make sure that I'm corresponding my collage to the colors that are going to appear on my plate. Some things to notice is that you may not think it's very attractive, this amazing collage you've done, but really you're just sort of splashing colors all over the place. You know, I've got some red, some gold, some beautiful sunflower color here, and some great texture that are hopefully going to show through my design. But a lot of times you may notice that, you know, not much ends up showing through. So it's cool. If you think that you're like, wow, this is really ugly, just go with it, try it out, and see how it goes. I will suggest to you that if you like this technique, you may want to make a couple of them, a couple of these collages, because printing on them can sometimes be a little bit temperamental, and you may find that you will get only a couple of prints that will work for you. Okay, so now I have my beautiful collage background that I'm going to print my plate on. And the way that I do it is I actually put the paper down on the plate. So first I need to ink my plate and get it ready. All right, I have my inked plate in place, and now I want to take my collage and flip it over. And I want to try to align it up with the collage so that I'm printing onto the collaged area. And now what I want to do is I want to hold with one hand, rub with the other, so that I am getting all of the collaged papers kind of making contact with that plate. And I don't want to do it like this, because or with my knuckles, that's only going to give me a little bit of contact area, and I want as much as possible. And also don't push too hard, because it's going to end up giving you problems where the paper will move and it'll become blurry. And so now, reveal, and you can see that I have my collage colors kind of poking through that print. Maybe I would, in future ones, I would do a little bit less craziness over here. And also you can see that the center of my print does not match up really with that brown collage area. However, it's really sort of abstract, and in a way it's quite beautiful as it is. And you don't have to worry about this. Once this whole thing is dry, I can go back and tack down any little pieces of collage paper that have come up during the printing process. Here's a more simple collage that only has a few pieces of color paper laid down. So now I'm going to do a print from that, and so that you can see the difference between a really simplified background versus that complicated one that I did. Here's my plate re-inked and ready to go. And I'm going to take my simple collage background and I'm going to place it on the plate. I'm going to give it a gentle back rub, holding with one hand, rubbing with my opposite hand so I don't move anything around. I'll make sure I'm getting that center portion and getting right to the edge of the plate. Now I can reveal. So now we have a little bit more of a simplified design, and you can see that it's a little bit easier to see the flower, especially over here in the petals. And I did need to re-ink, I guess, a little bit more over here, but see, that's the sort of thing that you find out when you're doing these, and that's why if I had done multiple ones of this, that I'd just be able to try another one right away. So you can see the difference between the two. More of a complicated background, and this is a little bit more simple. I could even have left out this center portion and just have it been the colors of the petals, and that would have been good too. So the first thing I want to do is I want to think about my actual print, my plate that I have created. So this one is of a flower. I think I'm going to make it more of a Black-Eyed Susan or Rebecca, and this central portion here is going to be darker than the petals that are going all the way around. So I have my watercolor paper, and what I want to do is I want to use masking tape to tape my watercolor paper either to the table or tape it to a drawing board. If we don't have classes coming in right afterwards, we can tape directly to the table, and when they're dry, I can remove them for you. But we're taping the perimeter of the paper down with masking tape because when you use watercolor, it ends up making your paper buckle sometimes. So I want to try to keep that from happening. And I'm just using some basic watercolor set that you have at home. You have lots of experience with that. And I'm kind of just going through and adding swirls of color. I'm getting my paper really, really wet because I think it works out much better to have that kind of thing because then the colors sort of mix on their own. And I want I'm going to add some yellow here. I'm going to go right to the edge, go right on top of the tape. And I can add multiple colors. I can use this beautiful yellow, but I can also use some oranges. It's kind of crazy orange there, but that's all right. If I get a little bit too much, I can always go through and kind of add a little just water to it. But I'm just trying to create a very abstract situation there. And another thing you can do is put a little bit of salt on there. And so it creates an interesting technique. You do not want to disturb the salt once you've shaken it on, and your water should be pretty like liquidy, because we want puddles of color if we're going to do that. And now what we're going to do is I'm just going to let this sit here and dry. Tomorrow I will wipe off or rub off any salt that didn't dissolve, and I can print my plate directly on top of this and you'll see that the center of this, that's usually brown, would be here in the center, and then hopefully my beautiful leaves my petals will be in the yellow, and this will enhance that. Okay, here we have the dried watercolor paper, and you can see the texture that's been left by the salt. We want to make sure that this is completely dry, that you do it at least a day before. And you're giving that salt a time to kind of like soak up all of the watercolor that's around it. So everything should be completely dry. And now, before I print, I can kind of gently rub the salt to make sure that it's there's no bumps on there, leftover salt that didn't dissolve. And that'll make the surface just a little bit more smooth to print on. I have my inked plate on my desktop now, my workstation, And what I want to do is I want to put my watercolor face down on it, and I want to hold it with one hand and rub with the other. It's really important. The watercolor paper loves to move, so you want to make sure that you are holding on to this and gently using that other hand to kind of press the paper into the ink. If you don't have enough ink on here, you won't get a good transfer. Again, it's probably good for you to make a couple of watercolor backgrounds to experiment with in case you need to kind of tweak it and get your technique down. So now we'll reveal this, we'll peel this off, and I have a print on top of my abstract watercolor background. You'll see that the center portion is almost, it's doing all right. It's close to being there. And then I'm seeing that beautiful color coming through, and some of the texture of the salt is lost here, but you can see it around the edge as well. And I will be cropping this, so I'll be cutting it so that it kind of goes, it ends here about a 1/4 inch all the way around the plate, so I'll be able to get that lovely color in there.